Okay, once again, the son here, the mother's name that's on this YouTube channel. I'm not really a big fan of labels and whatnot for people. One of the things people could possibly label me as in the category is a gearhead. I mean, I like gear. I do. Just like that new show that's coming out with that guy that likes different gear. And some of the gear I like is tools. Self-defense tools, yard work tools, working tools. Was years ago, almost every self-defense or battle tool came from a working, gardening, whatever tool just about in the beginning. So what I have with me today, I'm going to be showing some products from Cold Steel. For those of y'all that also gearheads know of Cold Steel, this is a product I've worn for the past 5 years. And I finally bought it from Academy in Sports in Florence. And after I got it, I didn't like it as much as I thought I'd going to. Maybe I just got a bad one or what, but here it is. We have right here the Cold Steel Gladius Machete. Nicely wrapped with, if I can get that in the camera, the focus right, oops, sorry, light above me. That name right there, Wilson wrap. Nicely wrapped with Wilson wrap. Made of like, I think 1070 or 1065 high carbon steel. As you can tell, I've left it out inside the weather a little bit here and there. Now, when I had my old Facebook page, before I got out of Facebook and deactivated my account, I had my survive throughout my branding page I made, and I had a video where I accidentally dropped this on my middle finger on my right hand, and it cut pretty gosh darn deep. There is a chip in the blade right there, as you can see, small little chip. Everywhere else is perfect, and it says right there, if you can read it, Cold Steel, South Africa. It's made in South Africa. I think this is full tang. I think I see the metal tang inside the ball point at the end. Just like how I can see it on my 21-inch Latin machete. And one of the first things I didn't like about this is the tip broke way too easily. This is the tip of the blade. There's probably about 1/4 of an inch missing off this. It broke way too easily under light use. Second thing is, I know it's supposed to be a machete sword, but every sword that has any potential of fighting was just made. This is more of a piercing weapon, but still, it's a part sword. That right there is where the balance point is. About 1 inch from the handle. Most swords for combat, from what I understand, the balance should either be right here or right there of all the weight. So it's a little bit off, but it's still decent. And if you check out a real good, actual, decent YouTube channel, way better than my mom's accidental fan out page here that I'm doing at the moment, called Tactical YouTube, Mr. Tactical, the Tactical Show. He wears a ball collab on that much his face has ever shown. He wears a Army boonie hat, and he will teach you sword basics in a video called Weapons Training Basics. And that's where I learned all my skills of how to wield one of these with, basically. And what I'm doing right now, you look at my arm, I just move my arm back and forth, and also move my wrist. That's all I'm doing, is that right there, and I'm moving it back and forth. And I'm keeping the blade away from my body, so I'm bringing it forward. Every time I move, I'm still keeping the blade, I'm not ever bringing it back. I'm keeping it in front of me. So I can do all that. The only time I'd ever try to probably bring it back, if I'm doing a slice, I'm coming down, I'm doing slash, slash, slash. You know, or slice. I'm not even talking about what I do when I do my wood processing. Because of the points right here, there is some weight. I can chop down some decent, fairly sized limbs. So, but anyway, some people do twirls with swords. You know, do the sword twirling. And some people can flip theirs in their hand around. I got mine like this. That's how I hurt myself in one video. I was trying to flip it. I can kind of see with my fingers a little bit because I got that Wilson wrap. Because this right here, another thing I forgot to mention earlier, when I first got this, the shock, because of how square this handle is, hurt me when I went to chop something. I know this is made for a piercing weapon and everything else. And I'm probably about, yeah, that's like an inch or two from the camera from back here. So I'm pretty long distance away from the camera. I might want to hit y'all guys and gals. So what he taught me about the twirl basically is you let it drop right there. You go from right here to right there, and you hold hard as you can with your thumb and whatnot, and you just let it swing back around. You do it really quickly. I usually try to cup my hand halfway a little bit, or sometimes I can do it fully and just move my wrist. I'll move my wrist down and move my wrist that way and bring it back there. Same exact thing. Then other way, do it the other way. Go back, move it down, go back, move it down, bring it back up. It's hard to do in this closed area. But most of the time, you know, I'll do that. And sometimes, but I've worked that a lot for I can usually just use my thumb. But still, just having that much is a lot more better. Having it cupped halfway and cupped no way. Every time I'm doing it, I'm going down away from me and then come back up. Same one that way, going down away from me, come back up. I'm not going down and going down that far and then come back up. Or the other way and come way back up right here. Because that's just too dangerous. They do sell the cold steel medieval buckler. It is actually worth it against decent sized swords. I've seen the videos on it. Very thick, very hard to use. I love their polypropylene stuff. But it still is definitely for the money. Even though the balance is off, the handle gives shock to me. The blade, under heavy use, if left out in the rain too long, will chip out. And the tip bit, there's still a lot of good life inside this. There's still a lot of life left. Now with this one, I'm not really going to recommend too much wrist action chopping for me personally, because it can flop out, because it's still, even with that, it's still not a perfect grip for my big hands. But that's just for me. So that's, you know, this is how big my hand is. You know, that's how big that right there is. That's how big my hand is. It's decent, but it's still not good enough. It's a lot more better than my other machete, my Latin machete. And the sheath for this is great. You got a break in limit. It's very great, very protective, especially with this rubberized end. After I put the Wilson wrap on, I know I could re-snap the button snaps, because that's how close the button snaps got. And I just couldn't snap all the way, sadly, with the Wilson wrap. And you can buy Wilson wrap at your local hardware store, Walmart. You know, it's really inexpensive. It's like hockey grip tape almost. I'll get my Latin machete and I'll be right back, folks. Okay, I said I bought the cold steel glass machete from Academy and Sports. The Latin machete I bought off Cold Steel's website. Then I got a new site called Lynn Thompson's Special Projects, which is a branch off of Cold Steel, relates to Cold Steel. Now, when it comes to the regular machetes off their site, almost all of them I think, you can either buy it together with the sheath, which costs more, or without the sheath. I did not know that at first. So I got the sheath first before I got the machete. When I got the machete, it came dull. I had to sharpen it myself. Unlike the one you can buy from your local Academy and Sports or whatever, if you find inside a store, knowing you. Now I had Wilson wrap on the handle of the other machete, even though it does have texturing, unlike the glass has no texture. It just has little 3 square rings in different finger positions, I guess, to keep your hand from slipping off. But this right here is a texturized grip on the Latin machete. Your little thing right there, keep you from flying out with your hand. Lanyard hole. This is the sheath right here. Nothing fancy, nothing great. Still pretty durable. Now the glass machete is 18 inches of the blade. This one is a 21-inch blade. And Let's see if I can pair them up together. You really can't tell the difference because overall from how long the handle is on that one. But you put them right beside where both handle ends stop, you see how much longer the Gladius handle is than this one right here. But then you see how much longer the blade is than that one right there. And this sheath for the Gladius, it does have a longer sheath than it does blade, so the blade doesn't stick into it. This one might be close enough to it almost, not really sure. So, yeah. And the Gladius, the rubber overmold, goes all the way over the sheath onto the butt end. The one right here, the Lapton machete, it doesn't. Got all that nylon right there. And that's just on the outer sides. But let's pull it out. I have sharpened this partially with a file to get some of the burrs off the blade. It's decent, it's not great, but it's decent enough. Same thing, made inside South Africa. This one is real light, but it's very wide. I would not suggest using this for, that's way more close, that's almost too close, for defensive techniques if somebody broke in, because it's just, for me personally, for what I'm used to, I'm already telling people what to do almost. My apologies. But for me, I would not want it to be used as that because it's got the reach, but the weight is too much more still up here than down here because of how wide it is across as opposed to the thickness. It ain't got enough weight to when you're coming down, the wind is going to hit against that side a little bit, especially if you ain't got it 100% straight. It's going to block it off. And you just got too much weight still to come one way if you can bring back up the other way. Unless, of course, you're doing what I just did a lot. Going down, and then you bring, you are dropping the blade where you can just lift the weight back up using your body weight. The only reason I know this stuff is I watch Mr. Tactical's videos, I watch online videos, I've done a lot of yard work. I learned a lot about my body, a lot about my tools from yard work. That's all I use this for, is yard work. So, same with the Gladius. Once again, look how big my hand is, look how big that is. We got a little bit of wiggle. I can grip up, still a little wiggle. I'm not sure why I took the Wilson wrap off, and it's really just a weird handle shape to me. First machete I ever owned, bought from Army Navy store inside Hartsville. It was one of those Ontario, United States machetes. 18-inch, thick, heavy, flat bottom handle, round on back. Used it for many, many years. And I'm a little bit ambidextrous, but not exactly. I can't really do the twirl with this hand, sadly. That looks a little bit like it, you know, so what. And I love and hate these at the same time. I wish I had great ones for yard work. And that's really what got me to looking at YouTubers like Tactical and Paramount 101 to find a good machete for me to do a better job with my yard work. Because I graduated high school in 2014. Darlington High School was the school I was going to at that time. And then I started doing a lot of yard work to help get money for me and my family. So I was looking for a decent tool beside that old machete I've been using for years for my yard work on my family's land. And that's later on how I accumulated having these right here. So yeah. Alright folks, thank y'all for listening to me ramble on and have another video. Maybe I won't. I don't know. See you there.